Hi, Matt with Etrailer. If you have a 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander and you're looking for something that's going to help save space back here because there's not a whole lot of room to begin with, and you want something that's going to help keep any of those extra dirty items from bringing any of that grime inside your vehicle, then the Flint Hill Goods Hitch Cargo Carrier is going to be a great option for you. So let's check it out. And just to give you more of a visual to see what I'm talking about, when I open up this hatch, we can see the space that we're working with. Now, of course, you could put down this third row of seating. Now, that's going to be great if you're not maxing the amount of people back here. Now, if you don't want to really put any items in there anyways, for the reasons I stated before, we're really getting about almost the same amount of space either way. If I actually measure this out real quick, that's going to be about 14 inches in length. And this is actually going to be a little bit longer. That's going to be almost 18 inches. So that's not only giving you more space, it's actually doubling that amount of space that you can carry on the back of your vehicle. And this is also going to be more ideal if you have any more bulky items, anything with sharp edges, like a generator. In most cases, you probably don't want a generator in the back of your vehicle anyways. And if you have any type of camping supplies, anything that's constantly making contact with the ground, maybe picking up dirt, bugs, anything that you don't want inside here, this is going to be a much better option to keep it outside. And I'll close this back up, and we can really just focus on how much space we have back here. Because I already told you it's pretty much double the space there, but to give you some exact measurements, we already know this is almost 18 inches. So for the width, that's going to be, and this is the interior, so what you can put in it, that's going to be just under 52 inches. And as for the height, if you don't want to go above the rails, that's going to be at 4 inches. So that's going to give you an idea of what you can fit in here. Now, to give you an idea of what you can fit in here without making contact with your hatch when you need to open it up, I measured it earlier, and it's going to be around the 20-inch mark right here before it makes contact. So if you keep it below that, you should be fine. And as for how much weight you can fit back here, that's going to be up to 500 pounds. Now, there's also going to be a couple of the factors that go into that. That's going to be what your vehicle can handle and what your hitch can handle. So what I'd recommend doing is going from the lowest rated component so you don't damage anything. At this point, we're going to really focus on how this is going to interact with an Outlander. So I'm actually going to get the measurement closest to our vehicle, which is going to be right here. We're only going to be at 1.5 inches. So if this was a carrier that moved a whole lot, then I might be worried about that, but this feels pretty sturdy, so you should be good for the most part. It's just important that you make sure that the items that you're putting in here aren't going to extend past once they go past this rail right here. And as we're talking about that rail, you're going to be able to mount a lot of different types of hooks to this. So you can either strap your items down, or a lot of people like to use some type of metal hook that will grab onto here. And the one downside to that, though, is we have a black powder coat to it. So with that black powder coat and that metal, what could happen is it could kind of scratch some of that off. And if it scratches that off, it's going to be more prone to rusting in that location. So just make sure you're watching out for how you're strapping or holding your items into place. But let's take a closer look at how far it's going to stick out completely. And that is going to be from our back bumper to the back of the carrier, about 20 inches. And honestly, that's not very much for a cargo carrier. That's not going to take up very much room compared to some other options out there, and that's one of the reasons why I like this one. It's going to be very compact, doesn't take up a whole lot of room in your garage either, and lightweight. Now, if you want something that's going to be larger to kind of fit those even bigger items, then I'd recommend maybe the Reese Cargo Carrier or the Etrailer Cargo Carrier. Now, just keep in mind, those are going to be much heavier options and much more difficult to maneuver and take up a lot more space in the back of the vehicle. And then finally, we can check out the ground clearance. And this is going to be at about 10 inches. So that's not very high, but the Outlander isn't a super high vehicle to begin with. So if you are putting those heavier items back here, what's going to happen is this is going to drop down by a couple inches. So if you're going up any really steep driveways or hills, definitely keep an eye on that so you don't make contact with anything. And the other way it's going to really interact with our Outlander today is it's not really going to block a whole lot. And really when it's going to start blocking items is if you take it above the measurement of 24 inches. Anything above 24 inches, you're going to start blocking your license plate and your backup camera. And honestly, I'd recommend keeping it below 20 inches. Like I said earlier, if you keep it below 20 inches, not only will you not block anything back here, but you'll be able to open up your hatch too. And the way this is going to install is we're going to have this 2-inch shank that goes into our 2-inch hitch receiver. We're then going to have this anti-rattle bolt with a handle on it that goes through and connects to a nut on the other side. So that's going to help prevent any of that rattling like I showed you earlier. In my opinion, I think this is a solid choice, especially if you're looking for something lightweight, doesn't take up a whole lot of room, just for those occasional items that won't fit in your vehicle or have a lot of grime to them. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit larger, more for those vacation trips where you need to put a lot of your luggage back here, then I'd actually recommend checking out the Etrailer Cargo Carrier. That's going to be a very large carrier, and it has the ability to fold up. And what's great about that is it's going to offer you more room for those vacations when you're traveling down the road, so you can have more leg room inside your vehicle. Now again, it is going to be much heavier to kind of move around, but it can also stay on your vehicle longer too, since it doesn't take up much room. And then the other option I'd actually check out is going to be the aluminum version of the Flint Hill Goods carrier. The reason why I recommend that one is because, like I was saying earlier, if you have a metal hook, it could scratch off some of that powder coat finish, which would make this more prone to rusting. The only downside with that is when you are hooking it to places, you got to be more mindful, because then you're going to run into the situation where some points might bend on you if you're not picking a good solid point. Either option, a pretty great one, but I think this is a great one just to start off with. Now, if you're curious to see any of the other options, we have full videos and demos on them. But today, this was just a look at the Flint Hill Goods steel hitch cargo carrier on the back of our 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.